The SGA foul baiting, some players have brought this up as a player who did this and, openly admits that he did it. What does the NBA do about the way SGA plays, if anything?
I don't get it. I don't understand what foul baiting is. We didn't say this about MJ, and MJ went to the line 10 plus times.
Jordan and Jordan goes down hard, and they get on top of the ball. That's what happens. And then right there, Cadillac Anderson has him.
James Harden was in that same category, went to the line 10 plus times. I don't understand this. You play the game and you try to take advantage of whatever rules or how they're calling the game. Games change from night to night. I know there's a general consensus of how you're supposed to play, but you have different officials each and every game. He is not, what do you call it, rage baiting and
foul baiting
every single night. He's attacking the defense. Are some calls questionable? Absolutely. But I just don't get it why he gets called out all the time. Last night, Jaylen Brown's been, calling this out all the time. He shot 21 free throws last night.
Well, maybe he's learning from SGA how to bait.
Then thank you. Learn and adapt.
I like Shai Alexander generally as a player. I'm not a huge fan, but I believe he's very, very talented on the offensive end and he is a decent defender. But his offensive talents a lot of times to me get overshadowed by extremely exaggerated flopping attempts and trying to get foul calls when there aren't any. Like I've never seen it this bad and I have film. So let's talk about it. So, as I stated in the beginning, Shai Alexander is an unbelievably skilled offensive player and a good defensive player. He's not a great defender, but he's a good defender. He makes a lot of shots in clutch situations. Delivers for his team when they need him. Makes big threes, has good drives to the basket. He's a great player overall. You're watching him in the overall picture from the game that he plays, especially in tough games like against San Antonio and stuff. He's a very good player, a huge piece of that team if not the most important one. But then we get situations where he tries to exaggerate any kind of touch or not even people touching him and make it look like he was fouled when nobody even touched him. And it's exaggerated to the level that I've never seen before. And it's embarrassing that the NBA's MVP is allowed to do that. It's embarrassing to the game and it's embarrassing to the league. And as always, I'm going to show you a clip as I always do as proof of what I'm saying. But I want you to understand something as that I've been mentioning for a few videos back a few days. I told y'all that ESPN has a huge deal with the NBA. So ESPN is running interference and in fighting that narrative of people complaining about Shazam flopping. ESPN's employees are running interference and protecting the image of the NBA and the image of their MVP as they are required to do so. Kendrick Perkins defends him. ESPN defends him. Reggie Miller defends him. Reggie Miller is an employee of NBC that also has a deal with the NBA for transmitting games and having access to players. So, they're protecting their investment just like ESPN. Now, I'm calling out NBC as well, and in calling out Michael Jordan and saying that we never did this for Michael Jordan. We never complained and he got to the line. So many times Michael Jordan actually got freaking fouled and when he went to the line like this is ridiculous. You can't even compare the two and the video is going to prove it. And keeping some of your integrity is actually good for you, especially if you're a man. So, let me show you a couple of clips of Reggie Miller and then Kendrick Perkins defending Shai Alexander and how he plays and then I'm going to show you Shai Alexander how he plays. The SGA foul baiting. Some players have brought this up. As a player who did this and, openly admits that he did it, what does the NBA do about the way SGA plays, if anything? I don't get it. I don't understand what foul baiting is. We didn't say this about MJ and MJ went to the line 10 plus times. Meanwhile MJ getting fouled. Jordan goes down hard and then they get off top of the ball. That's what happens. And then right there Cadillac Anderson has him. James Harden was in that same category. Went to the line 10 plus times. James Harden has done the same thing Shai Alexander does, flopping like crazy. He's one of the guys responsible for the anti-popping rule being put in place. Giannis is he. I don't understand this. You play the game and you try to take advantage of whatever rules or how they're calling the game. Games change from night to night. I know there's a general consensus of how you're supposed to play, but you have different officials each and every game. He's not, what do you call it? Rage baiting and foul baiting. Foul baiting every single night. That's just he's attacking the defense. Are some calls questionable? Absolutely. But I just don't get it why he gets called out all the time. Last night Jaylen Brown's been, calling this out all the time. He shot 21 free throws last night. Well, maybe he's learning from SGA. How to bait all then. Thank you. Learn and adapt. You saw Michael Jordan get fouled. That's the kind of fouls Michael Jordan was dealing with. And I'm going to show you the clip of SGA getting fouled or trying to get calls for fouls. And then James Harden also while playing against the Knicks, not the Knicks, the previous against the Detroit Pistons. There's one possession there that just is ridiculous when you look at it on replay. I'm going to show you those. So, naming James Harden going to the line so many times within the same line that you're naming Michael Jordan, they're not the same players, Reggie, and I'm a Knicks fan. I've watched you play against the Knicks. I hated your game. I was never pissed off about Michael Jordan getting calls, but you, oh my goodness. Disgusting in a way. And just by the way, you won only once with the Knicks. So, we've been hearing a lot of talk about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander hunting foul calls. And what do you think about SGA being called a foul merchant because that's not a compliment? First of all, I think it's nonsense, right? He's not the guy's killing. If you take away all his free throws this season, he will still be leading the league in scoring. That's number one. Number two, we used to applaud Kobe Jordan, Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce for being able to get to the free throw line. That just goes to show you that he's the most unguardable, unstoppable perimeter player in the game right now. Have you noticed the same exact strategy? Name the old legends within the same line and compare them. We never had a problem with Michael. The same exact strategy from ESPN where Kendrick Perkins works and NBC where Reggie Miller works. They got their directives and they're going straight with them. They know what they have to say. It's the company line. This is proof to you they're saying exactly the same, like they're not even hiding it anymore. Now, let me show you a couple of examples of what they're saying is the same that Michael Jordan did or, KG or Paul Pierce or Tim Duncan. No comparison. Take a look at what he's describing as the same thing that we saw in the old days. So, this is James Harden playing against the Detroit Pistons, and you're telling me that this is what Michael and Kobe did? Watch this play. Watch it in slow motion too. Here's James Harden at the three-point line. He's going to take a shot. Nobody touches him. Look at his reaction. Nobody touches him. Feet forward. He falls down like he was just knocked down and pushed down. That's what Michael Jordan Kobe did, Reggie. Now look at these few examples. Look at this one. He just falls down. Replay. This is all one game, guys. Look at him. Whoop. Just goes down nice and flat. No call. So he gets up and keeps going. Another one. Look at this. Just falls down. Wasn't even touched. Just falls down. Gets a call. Look at this. Look at the replay. There's no foul, nothing. He just falls down and that's it. Like pushed down. And now the most egregious one. Look at this. It's going to play in a second, but this is the most egregious one out of the same game. Watch this play. Literally like, what the hell is this? Look, no one, nothing. And the guy just falls, gets back up and plays, goes into the play. Now this is my problem with this. ESPN running interference. Kendrick Perkins is an employee of ESPN. He was on an ESPN show saying the same exact thing as Reggie Miller is saying being an NBC employee on the Nat Patrick show. He's got his narrative. He went on the show to run interference for it to protect the NBA, the NBA's image and the NBA's MVP image. They can't allow people seeing this and actually talking about this. It's harmful to their game, to their brand, and to their MVP. How can the MVP of the NBA, the best player, do this what you just saw? It's disgusting. That's what today's game is. You look at Michael Jordan getting fouled. You look at Kobe Bryant getting fouled. You look at Tim Duncan get fouled. KG get fouled. This is nothing like it. Zero. And all those guys will tell you that. Watch their film. To get 3 flops that you saw from SGA here on this video that I just showed you. The bigger issue nobody wants to admit is that the NBA created the perfect environment for this style of basketball to explode. Years ago, offensive players still searched for contact, but there were limits. Defenders could use their hands more aggressively, perimeter players had to fight through real physical pressure, and referees generally rewarded the offensive player only after obvious contact actually happened. Today, everything is reversed. Modern defenders are expected to move backward, keep their hands away from shooters, avoid body contact entirely, and somehow still stop some of the most gifted scorers the league has ever seen. That combination has created a system where offensive players are encouraged to exaggerate reactions because they know officials are already leaning toward protecting scorers. And that is exactly why so many fans are frustrated watching certain possessions involving SGA. The frustration is not because he scores too much. It is not because people think he lacks talent. Nobody serious believes that. The frustration comes from the visual experience of watching basketball. Fans want to see difficult shot-making, real defensive resistance, and players battling through contact naturally. Instead, too many possessions now end with offensive players throwing their heads backward, falling sideways, or suddenly collapsing after minimal bumps. Even when the whistle blows correctly, the exaggerated reaction makes the game feel less authentic to viewers. The league does not seem to understand how damaging that perception can become long-term. Basketball fans are incredibly passionate, but they are also extremely observant. They notice patterns quickly. When they repeatedly watch similar foul calls benefit the same superstar players night after night, they begin believing the game is tilted toward marketable stars. Once that belief spreads widely enough, every controversial whistle becomes evidence supporting that narrative. That is exactly where the NBA finds itself now. You can already see it online after almost every nationally televised game. Fans post slowed-down clips showing defenders barely touching offensive players before whistles immediately stop the action. Then debates explode across social media for hours. One side argues that smart players exploit defensive mistakes and deserve the calls. The other side argues that the rules themselves are encouraging behavior that looks ridiculous compared to previous eras. Neither side completely agrees, but the argument keeps growing because the visual evidence keeps piling up. The craziest part about this entire debate is that SGA honestly does not need any help from officials to dominate games offensively. His footwork is elite. His body control is elite. His ability to change pace is among the best in basketball. Defenders constantly look uncomfortable trying to stay in front of him because he attacks angles differently than almost every other guard in the league. He is incredibly patient, rarely rushed, and always under control. Those are qualities that usually define historically great offensive players. That is why the criticism hits differently with him compared to other players. Fans are watching somebody capable of scoring 30 points naturally without relying on foul hunting. So whenever he exaggerates contact or receives questionable whistles, people immediately focus on those moments instead of appreciating the skill level he genuinely possesses. In some ways, the foul controversy actually overshadows how brilliant he really is offensively. Another major reason this debate keeps getting louder is because older NBA fans feel disconnected from the modern game stylistically. They grew up watching rivalries where physicality was accepted and sometimes even celebrated. Games between teams like the Knicks, Bulls, Pacers, Pistons, and Heat looked like wars. Players drove into the lane expecting hard contact. Officials allowed defenders more freedom to challenge scorers physically. Nobody fell to the floor every other possession searching for whistles because exaggerated reactions often would not get rewarded anyway. Now compare that to the current league. Defenders are constantly worried about technical fouls, flagrant fouls, landing space violations, freedom of movement calls, and touch fouls around the perimeter. Offensive players understand this fear completely. They know defenders are hesitant. They know one wrong movement can immediately produce free throws. Smart players naturally take advantage of that environment. The problem is that some fans no longer enjoy watching that version of basketball. They respect the talent level. They respect the athleticism. They respect the shooting ability of modern players. But they do not respect obvious manipulation of officiating. And once respect disappears, frustration grows quickly. This is why the comparisons to Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant make people angry instead of calming them down. Fans remember Jordan absorbing brutal contact in midair while still finishing difficult shots. They remember Kobe attacking double teams and continuing through physical pressure without instantly throwing himself backward searching for calls. Those players certainly understood how to draw fouls, but many fans believe there is a massive difference between forcing defenders into real contact and manufacturing the appearance of contact through exaggerated reactions. That distinction matters emotionally to basketball audiences. People want greatness to feel genuine. They want dominant performances to look earned physically. They want stars overcoming defenders instead of manipulating referees. When fans watch endless free throw parades created by questionable whistles, it damages the entertainment value even if the offensive players are technically operating within the rules. The NBA attempted to address this issue before. The league announced anti-flopping measures and promised officials would stop rewarding unnatural basketball movements. For a short period, the difference was noticeable. Offensive players looked confused because some of their favorite tricks suddenly stopped generating calls. Analysts praised the changes. Fans celebrated because games flowed more naturally without constant interruptions. But slowly the old habits returned. That is what frustrates viewers most. They already saw proof the league could reduce foul baiting significantly whenever it truly wanted to. The problem is consistency. Once officials start rewarding exaggeration again, players immediately return to exploiting those opportunities because winning matters more than aesthetics to professional athletes. And honestly, you cannot completely blame the players for adapting. If referees reward certain behaviors, competitors will continue using those behaviors until the rules change. NBA players are trying to win games, secure contracts, and build careers. If exaggerating contact increases free throw attempts and improves offensive efficiency, many players will keep doing it regardless of public criticism. That means the responsibility ultimately falls on the league office and officiating standards. The NBA must decide what kind of product it wants fans watching over the next decade. Does the league want games dominated by offensive freedom and whistle manipulation, or does it want more balance between scorers and defenders? Right now the balance clearly favors offense. Scoring numbers continue exploding across the league, while defenders operate under tighter restrictions every season. Some fans love that evolution. Younger audiences often prefer faster games with more spacing, more shooting, and higher scoring totals. They enjoy offensive creativity and individual shot-making brilliance. But even many younger fans admit certain foul calls look embarrassing in slow-motion replay. Nobody enjoys watching basketball possessions interrupted every minute by soft whistles and dramatic falls to the floor. That is why this conversation keeps expanding beyond SGA specifically. He has simply become the face of a larger frustration many fans already felt about modern officiating. Because he is an MVP-level player constantly featured on national television, every controversial whistle involving him receives maximum attention online. Fair or unfair, he now represents the entire debate about foul baiting in the modern NBA. And the media response has only intensified the backlash. Whenever analysts immediately dismiss criticism by comparing modern stars to Jordan, Kobe, or other legends, fans feel like their eyes are being insulted. Viewers can clearly see differences between hard contact and exaggerated reactions. Pretending those situations are identical only makes audiences more skeptical toward television coverage. That skepticism becomes even stronger when multiple analysts across different networks repeat similar talking points almost word for word. Fans begin believing broadcasters are protecting the league instead of speaking honestly about what they are watching. Whether that perception is completely fair does not even matter anymore because once audiences lose trust, rebuilding credibility becomes difficult. Sports media today operates differently than it did 20 years ago. Every opinion gets clipped instantly and shared online. Every controversial statement gets replayed repeatedly across social media platforms. Analysts no longer control the conversation the way traditional television once did. Fans can pause games, replay possessions, and compare footage themselves within seconds. That level of access changes everything. In previous eras, questionable calls disappeared quickly unless they happened during huge playoff moments. Today, every controversial whistle becomes a viral debate almost immediately. Fans create compilations, side-by-side comparisons, and detailed breakdowns analyzing officiating decisions frame by frame. The NBA can no longer rely on audiences simply forgetting controversial moments after games end. And playoff basketball only magnifies these issues further. Historically, postseason basketball allowed more physicality because referees understood the increased intensity and pressure. Fans expect playoff games to feel tougher and more emotional. They want players fighting through adversity instead of constantly searching for whistles. That expectation creates huge pressure on stars whose regular season success partly depends on drawing fouls consistently. Critics constantly wonder whether certain offensive numbers would remain as dominant if playoff officiating became stricter again. Every superstar faces that question eventually, but SGA hears it more frequently because of how often foul discussions surround his performances. Fair or not, people now analyze every playoff whistle involving him with extraordinary scrutiny. Still, ignoring his actual greatness would be ridiculous. He is one of the smartest offensive guards in basketball. His patience controlling tempo is incredible. His ability to stop suddenly and create separation destroys defenders regularly. He finishes creatively around the basket and punishes defensive mistakes at every level. Those skills are real regardless of whether fans dislike some of the foul calls he receives. That is why this debate remains complicated. You can acknowledge his brilliance while still criticizing aspects of modern officiating. Those opinions are not mutually exclusive. A player can be genuinely elite while also benefiting from a system that favors offensive exaggeration more than previous eras did. Unfortunately, modern sports conversations rarely allow nuance anymore. Everything becomes extreme immediately. Either somebody is completely overrated or completely untouchable. Either criticism equals hatred or praise equals blind worship. Real basketball discussions become impossible because people instantly choose sides emotionally instead of analyzing the actual issue carefully. The truth probably exists somewhere in the middle. SGA deserves tremendous respect for becoming one of basketball's best players.